think I got that recording. And yeah, if you don't mind, walk me through it. So I'm gonna open some VS Code after I close tons of other
So
stuff.
you want to type?
But I'm open. If you want to type first, let's do it.
Okay, yeah,
I think you're ahead of
I
me.
can
So,
type.
but yeah, if you want to type, then I can read the documentation and ask you questions to understand what's going on because it sounds like you've done the app router before.
Yeah, so here's a link to it's a migration guide if you were going from pages,
Mm-hmm.
the router to the newer app router.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about this 13.4, I think Brian was saying it was. And okay, do you want to share your screen and clone that repo that I sent?
Okay, screen. Where was it? Here it is. Next Auth demo. Copy you.
Yeah, and I think you should have write permissions. We'll find out, but everyone who wants to can be a maintainer and a writer and a pusher for this.
See next. Let's go ahead and be sure I don't already have that in here. But should I fork this or clone it? I should clone it, right?
Yeah, you should clone it and then feel free to push directly because I think forking makes sense if it's like a big project with like many people, but if it's just, no one has touched this since last time, I think you and I did it. I did a little bit with John Herrera in Colombia, and then you started it, and not like you started it, but you started the repo at Code with Friends, like an in-person meetup. I think like three times ago you started. I think people enjoyed it. They were just like watching on Discord, even though they were sitting with us at the congregation. Yeah, I never know how much coding is welcome. Like I personally like seeing code, and I appreciate when people do it. But I think a lot of times when people are there, they're just happy, or there's inertia to just chat. And yeah, so I always try and push it, but just to see if people welcome it, because a lot of times beginners are afraid to even start, and they really appreciate someone like typing with them.
Yeah, I really like to do more of that. I haven't figured out how to well, not how to, but like I said, we've been chatting when we meet there. But I was talking to John, and he was kind of saying, "Hey, do we want to work on this project or something?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. To have a collaborative project. It just gets tricky because then you have like he's a Ruby on Rails guy, diehard, and so you're not going to find a lot of people that really. It's not super common, especially with beginners and stuff. So, you start working on something and finding ways for people to contribute as a larger group, it gets kind of difficult because you have different knowledge bases that people have or don't have. And so.
Yeah, I think that's a problem that will always be true. I'm sure coding buddies had it too, like the community you found, which I still want to sift through the wreckage of not the wreckage, but like the artifacts, because they looked like they had a good run, and we could learn a lot. We could learn a lot from them. I have nothing against Ruby on Rails. I just don't have room. Like Python occupies the part of my brain that Ruby would go in otherwise, and it was a workhorse, and it had the glory days in the early 2000s or mid 2000s, and there's a lot of web stuff we can still collaborate on. So I guess it's like whether he's willing to, if he led a Ruby on Rails session, there are beginners who like would start out and they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do Ruby on Rails, and then, but if he is like Yeah, I mean, it's cool to meet experienced programmers, so we'll figure out something. It sounds like a good guy to know.
Yeah, yeah, he is. Let me pause my camera. Seems like it starts choking pretty quickly on me. All right, that's good.
Yeah, let me turn off my camera too if there's bandwidth issues, because screen share is more important and it should be lower bandwidth. Should be compressible. All that juicy extra entropy is gone.
So this is 13. Oh, so we got to update this
Yeah, exactly. So you can,
for the page.
and it's,
I
think,
see what you put here.
yeah, I pasted the link, and yeah, if you try that, I wonder if it's going to update package.json. And the npm part.
I've got the npm part. Okay.
And if you haven't yet, like if you find node modules is really a black hole taking up so much space on your hard drive, you might be interested in pnpm, which I've been using. Like it downloads in parallel and also caches the packages and sort of like symlinks. Like you just create links every time you need them, and so it's not like duplicating a new node modules every time in each Node.js project. So that's only if you're like experiencing hard drive shortages.
Well, yeah, I actually had to clear my hard drive last night because I couldn't do something in Photoshop because I had like 10 gigabytes of free space left, so I had to clear off. And a lot of it, I think I had like 30 or 40 gigabytes of like just dev files from just different miscellaneous tutorials and projects. So that might be something I look into.
Yeah. Oh, same. That's my constant problem. 10 gigabytes free space. I like how that you're saying that as like I'm almost out of my terabyte drive or something. And I guess like my first computer had like 400 megabytes. That was its hard drive.
Yeah, I think I have like this is a 500.
500 gigabyte. That sounds about right.
Yeah. It's either 500 or terabyte, whatever it is. I almost maxed it out. Yeah, I think it's 500 gigabyte. Okay, so
did it jump to 13.5 or was it already 13.5?
No, it jumped up.
Okay, but we want it to say like 14, right?
Yeah, time machine.
You can try saying npm install next at 14. I think you can say.
Is there a next 14?
Well, isn't that what Brian is always trying to get me to upgrade to? The new app-based router?
I don't know. I think latest next. Yes. No, I think 13 is the latest.
Oh, you're right. He was telling me 13.4, not 14.3. My bad. Totally numeric dysphoria. Okay, I think we're good. 13.5 is plenty. Okay.
Yeah. So we need to.
The next part of the tutorial is going to give us some nice linting, which is a development dependency. So I think it's not super crucial for the demo to work, but maybe it'll look nicer in your VS Code. Like maybe it'll autocorrect for the new app-based routing. It'll make it easier.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
There's too many active changes.
Interesting. What does that mean?
Their product next all of them has too many. So it must be referencing.
Yeah, please. Yes, yes. Yeah, ignore node modules. That I guess you can tell how old or hasty this project was, is that we didn't even think to ignore node modules. Because there's probably like 1,000 things in there.
Okay. Got that. Yes, lint. Must restart ESLint server.
Yeah, I don't know as much about the lint server. I Yeah, I think if you restart VS Code, it'll be fine.
Command palette. So I guess let's see. Search for ESLint restart lint server. Let's see what that. ESLint is not running by default. Only TypeScript and JavaScript files are validated. If you want to validate other file types, please specify them.
I think that's what we need because this is a JSON file. But if we were looking at a .js or .ts file, I think it wouldn't have given us this warning. So
I think so. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So what does it say next? We got that.
So upgrade new features. If we were using the old image or link, then we could update it. But I don't think we did. It's a pretty simple demo. Like if you want, you can npm start and take a look at it. I think it's just going to show like a login button, and I think we got it to show the GitHub. It like redirected to GitHub OAuth login, and then I don't know if we got it to work to redirect back. But when it redirects back now, I think it's likely to work if we set it to localhost because you're running it on your laptop. And when you ran this last time, you were doing it. We were trying to do it on StackBlitz, which I think is still listed on the repo. And
yeah, we had problems with that auth because it wanted like the callback URL to be something that wasn't working with StackBlitz.
Yeah,
we tried to put in that StackBlitz URL and it didn't like it.
Yeah, it was like that was not publicly accessible, but what's that? What is lockdown?
Yeah,
I'll Google it.
I get a lot of weird errors from Chrome, just from like extensions and plugins that have nothing to do with my code.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, sometimes that's it too. Like,
see if I can run it here. Yeah, see on incognito.
For MetaMask, as people are saying, that's what lockdown is.
Okay.
So if you want to.
Yeah, I got no errors with incognito, so I guess it's nothing to worry about.
Cool. Try clicking sign in.
So that still works.
No, that's not.
But I think I used I made an Auth app on GitHub for this, but I think it's either expired or I deleted it.
Oh yeah.
So that maybe that's why it's stopping there.
I also think it's because there's a .env. There's not a .env file, or there is. We committed the secrets. Okay, those definitely have been.
Oh wow.
Those definitely have been.
Yeah, I think that's why I deleted it. I think we were like, yeah, we'll still do this, but then I deleted it because we did it like this.
Okay. Well,
but none of that's right.
Good. Okay. Well, would you like to generate a new one, or shall I? I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, you can do it.
Okay. And then what about in .gitignore? I think we already changed it by adding node modules. Let's add .env to it, and then you can remove it from the cache by typing, or you can remove it from the Git index, but not from your hard drive by typing like git rm space dash dash cached. Is that right? Let me look that up. There's a way to remove it from the index but keep your local copy, and then ignore will work. And sorry if I get too bossy. I think I'm a bad habit. I'm used to it. Like when I'm in a classroom, uh, the students usually get mad at me if I'm not bossy. They're sort of like, "What do we do? Tell us to do something."
Yeah, right. And I learned helplessness.
Okay, I think it's localhost 3000 on your computer, right? That's what we want the callback to be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was cache. The flag.
Oh, okay.
Not mention. Git remove dash cached. Did I spell it wrong? Git ignore. Did not match any files. Can't seem to get it to. Oh, well, it's not being tracked anyway.
Yeah, that's
We
all.
never added it, so.
That's all we needed. I just wanted to, I guess, when you remove it, I think you can commit it even if it's not tracked because you're committing the removing of it from tracking. And then when you commit and push, it will remove that file from the public GitHub repo. Just so if like bots are crawling it, it won't be there for them to think they're getting something. But I agree that the token has been long deactivated. So okay, it says this is a personal access token, so I will DM it to you and then delete it. I think it's one of the things you need, right? Is there something else called GitHub ID or what was the other thing?
This is the token. Okay, got the token. That's the secret, right?
I believe that's
secret. Yes.
Yeah, it says, I hope you have it. You won't be able to see it again once I navigate away from this page.
All right, got that in there. And the GitHub ID.
How does one find GitHub ID?
Let's see. GitHub ID. GitHub client ID. Settings, applications, developer applications. I guess it's attached to the app.
Yeah.
You made.
I think it's also like when you set up your privacy email, there's like a no reply email and they generate like a nonsense number to go with it. And that's my ID. So I will.
I don't know. I think it's specific to the app you created for the Auth.
Oh, Okay. Well, I can. I
Because
just.
it
I did.
wasn't an email in our original ENV file. It's just a long number.
How long? Because the ID from my email is going to give you is 6 numbers long. Is it that, or is it?
This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
Oh,
15, 16,
that's not.
17, 18, 20.
That's not it. Okay, I'll try. I'll try again. So the developer settings and then personal access token lets you generate a number, but there's not anything about. Oh, there's OAuth apps and and here's a client ID. Okay, I think I might need to give you a different token then. But here I found the ID, and so that looks like the right length, right?
Yeah, it looks about eyeballing it. Looks about right.
And then I'll delete the previous one, or I'll modify it to go with that client ID. And then I'll delete some
Yeah, it's
others.
exactly the same length.
Nice.
All right, that should be it. Do you have to activate the app or do any other steps?
It's a good question. I hope not, because this was already the app I was using, and I just generated a new secret for it. And here's where I can set the callback authorization to be localhost 3000, localhost 3000 all around. And then I click update. I think it should be active.
All right,
Oh, still having that, huh? No dice. I thought for sure that was it.
try signing in with a different account.
Let's look at the stack trace error. It says client ID is required, so I think maybe there's a mistake in our code where we're not loading it from the .env correctly.
All right, so let's go. Would it be our Auth?
Oh, here we are. So process.env. It's called GitHub client ID and GitHub client secret. Is that what we called it? If not, that's
Yeah, I
fine.
didn't change them. GitHub
Okay.
ID.
Then that's
Okay.
my mistake. So you're fixing the demo to even work with those.
GitHub client ID. GitHub client secret. GitHub client secret. All right, restart it. Let's see what this.
Well, there's
Okay, we're
no
not getting an error now.
there's no obvious error. It does say no secret,
No secret warning. Next off, no secret.
but it gives us this nice URL that we can control click or command click to get. In development, we generate a secret based on your configuration for convenience. Can you, yeah. Sounds like it's their library doing something. So yeah, if you click more, read more, maybe. Oh, okay. There's something called NextAuth secret.
Not providing.
Okay, so we just have to generate NextAuth secret. And oh, great. So if you copy and paste that line, the OpenSSL line, and if you have OpenSSL installed, that will just give you a random, 64-bit hex string. And then I think you can do like export nextauth underscore secret equals that, or you can, I think that's the way to do it instead of putting it in .env, but
Next, what's the language here? Next auth underscore secret. Next auth
yeah.
secret equals that.
Yeah. And then export, I think, has to be lowercase, just because bash is picky. Or maybe not. I forgot. Okay. And then now if you start npm start.
Now, if I were to check, is that's there, use echo to make it like print out variables. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. You put a $ in front of it because in bash, if you want to use a right-hand side of a value, you're dereferencing it. That's different than using it on the left-hand side of an assignment. But in other languages, like JavaScript and Java and C, you don't write the left-hand side and right-hand side differently. You just write the name of the variable, and the language knows that if it's on the left-hand side of an assignment, then you dereference it, and if it's on the right-hand side, then it just reads the value.
Oh, just put back what I put in there.
Well, $ in front of the N, but not the echo.
Oh, I see. Oops. $ next auth secret.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Nice. And some shells let you tab complete environment variables too. I don't know if this one does. Like,
now that when I just exported that, if I close the terminal, that will go away. It'll lose that.
That's right. So if you wanted to, you could add it to .env, and at least there'll be a record of it someplace. And I'm not 100% sure the purpose of it, other than, well, what is the purpose of it? It's like to identify your deploy uniquely. Yeah, I don't know the purpose. If we read more, we could figure out like why, but it's requiring the secret. And but if we forget to commit it and we try and, if you close this VS Code down and try to start up next time, we'll have to do this again, but it's not a big deal.
No, it's a quick process. Okay, so now we got that cleared out. Don't have any errors from then. Oh, warn. Next auth URL.
Okay, I bet there's another environment variable that they wanted us to set. That
It's weird because I've never had to set these environment variables using NextJS.
they sound vaguely familiar. I'm gonna look up what the getting started guide was to see if like they told us to do this and we just forgot about it.
So it looks like when you deploy Vercel, they set this Vercel URL environment variable, so you don't need to define this. Maybe that's just for in development you have to do this, but it's weird though because I've never had to do this.
Yeah, I think so. For this one, we can just set it to be localhost, HTTP insecure. I found it at this page at the bottom. It sounds
for this next auth URL.
Yeah, I'll send you what I think it should look like, and also it's export to the shell. So if we close the shell, then we lose it, and for the future. So that's kind of a pain.
Okay, I see. Export. Oops, that's not it. What is that? Grab this again. Copy to in here. Okay, no more warnings.
Okay, but how about the what is going on?
Try signing a different account.
Let me try Googling that. It could be that I have to generate a new client, so I'm going to try Googling for NextAuth, try signing in with a different account. Top hit.
Okay, this looks different though, Paul. Look, I got
interesting. Okay.
It's gone here.
Oh, so maybe we were just refreshing a URL that is no longer reachable because we fixed something. Okay, there's no error message yet. It's promising. I like it.
Let's check this. Yeah, that's still good. Okay, so that route is not auth sign in GitHub.
Okay, well maybe now is a good time to do it the app router way instead of the page router way.
And yeah, instead of fixing this. Okay, yeah, so let's do that and then handle why the auth is not working.
Yeah, if that's okay with you. Sense. Yeah.
Okay, so what's our guide say?
Okay, so it says upgrade, we're not using any image or link, and then it says migrate from app pages to app directory. The step-by-step guide to help you incrementally migrate. So all I do is watch the 16-minute video, or we can just read and fumble around with it. So moving to the app router may be the first time using React features that NextJS builds on top of, such as server components, suspense, and more. Weird sentence, but when combined with new NextJS features such as special files and layouts, migration means new concepts, mental models, and behavioral changes to learn. We recommend reducing the combined complexity of these updates by breaking down your migration into smaller steps. Sounds good to me. The app directory is intentionally designed to work simultaneously with the pages directory to allow for incremental page-by-page migration. Okay, so we can keep pages as it is, and there's a new app directory. The app directory supports nested routes and layouts. Use nested folders to define routes in a special page.js file to make a route segment publicly accessible. And there are special conventions. Okay, so it looks like in each, there's an app directory, and then probably in each app directory, there's something called page.js, which lets us know that that directory is a route. I think that's what it's saying. And then there's another special file called layout.js to define that a directory is a UI layout, maybe. I think that's what it's saying.
Yeah, there's like in the root of the app directory, you'll have a layout page that will apply to anything that's rendered, any route that's rendered, unless that route has its own unique layout. It'll default to whatever the root layout is, if not.
Okay. And is the root layout also called layout.js in the...
Yeah, it determines what goes with what by where it is in the whole directory. So in the app directory, every directory you make, every subdirectory you make is automatically a route. And then inside that directory, you put your page.js. And then if you want to have a unique layout, you would put a layout.js in the same directory as the page.js. Otherwise, it'll just default to your root layout.
Okay, so it inherits whatever layout.js was in a parent, which could be all the way back at the app directory, which is the root parent layout.
Yes.
Okay, I think I get it. There's some data fetching functions. Maybe we don't need to know about that now. And then there's step one. Okay. But it looks like there's also a 404. Okay, now it's called notfound.js because maybe they don't want us to have to memorize that's what 404 means, but I think it's in the public consciousness now. And then I think they're going to API we're allowed to keep in pages, but we might migrate that in a later step.
I think we should all at once just ditch the whole pages directory thing. Because it's just a lot simpler, I think, to just jump it on over. We have so little in this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it.
Directory right now. Because all we have, we need our app directory. We need our app, and then the app I know has an API directory inside of it.
Okay.
Let me pull up this other project for reference.
Sure.
Just turn this into. Okay, so we have the app and the root, and then API, which will hold all our routes, and the auth route for all that stuff. We're going to move into there. Yeah, that's the main thing. App API, but we have to change how it's finding these files in this JSON config. It'll look at this. We need to tell it what the base URL is. These compiler options.
Okay.
And so it'll know to look in the app.
So even though it's called app-based router, we can use a different directory instead of app.
Yeah, you could really use any. Yeah, you could really use anything. Yeah.
Okay.
But when you install with the other latest Next install that uses the app, when it asks you, do you want to use the app directory, it sets this up when it builds the initial project.
Okay.
And it already looks like that, like this. But I guess they didn't need it for the other pages router setup. So we'll have to add that. What was it? Config.js? JS config, yeah. So we'll add this JS config. Oops. What is it supposed to be? JS. Oh, it's a JSON file, dude. Okay. So now we should look for inside our app directory. And here, see, inside this app directory layout page in the root, this loading page, not found page. I just don't think we had one in there. I should probably see what the app T. Where's the app TS file? Index page.
I don't know if we started on the TypeScript defining it. Maybe you did in your time distance tracker, but
No, we're not. No, there's no TypeScript.
okay. Well, it keeps it
On this
simpler. I think it's a extra wrinkle maybe.
Save the next config. And just see what's in here. Okay. Layout page. Okay, yeah, so the page in the root here is, I guess it works as like a index main page. Loading page. Okay, so on the other one, Excel demo. So I know we need a layout directory. We need layout file. We need the layout. What else is in there? Layout page. Next up. Page view. Okay, so this is home. I'm just gonna copy this and get rid of all that extra stuff.
Okay, so this was in your other project, and it was. Is it the index page, the home page?
Yeah, it's in the root, so it of the app directory, so it kind of functions as a like a home page.
Okay.
Get rid of it.
Yeah, so I saw you were doing some data fetching. So use effect is the right place to. That's what it's meant for, right? Like if you need to fetch something and it could be slow, and when it's done, you want it to render. That's use effect is a good place and to do it once, like it's going to fetch once and then stay the same until you refresh the page again.
Yeah, and Next actually has like this built-in caching with fetches, which is cool. So it won't repeatedly fetch things that are identical.
Oh, okay, nice.
And even if you have like multiple components fetching from the same route, if they're fetching the same thing, it'll know that and it won't duplicate those fetches over and over.
Okay.
It'll just run it once for everything that's asking for it.
Yeah, that is optimized.
Yeah, I mean, you can check it. You can set it to not do that, to like do it every time, to check the server every time. But I think by default, it looks for like duplicate requests or repeated requests. And if they're cached, it saves you that trouble.
Yeah, that does sound convenient.
Yeah, the more I learn about it, the more I really like it. So this layout, we should probably talk about what this is doing, so I know what it's doing too. So This is in the root directory.
And you
It's the
copied
root.
this. Sorry to interrupt, but you copied this from your time tracker app, right? So, is it the basically the same as our auth app, like a
How you mean how the auth provider is working?
yeah? Because we had a I don't know if we had a previous layout, but we got that sign in with GitHub button. I'm just wondering if you were using NextAuth with your time tracker app, so that it's like a drop in replacement.
Yes, we are. Yes, it does use NextAuth. So let me just grab the whole thing then. Let's see.
Yeah.
Page. Where was it? Layout. Where are you? Okay, this is the other app. So we have in our app. Where's this new app directory? Oh shoot! Did I not? I thought I made an app directory in here. Did I make 2 app directories in here? I just made an app directory. And I was moving stuff. Did I put it in here? Shoot. I did make an app directory, or maybe I didn't. And I made a layout. Why do I not see it now inside of here? Did I make it in something? App index. That's weird. Make it app directory. And now it needs a page. It needs a layout. Oh, I know I put this in here, which it shouldn't be in here. This should be inside the app.
Okay. Yeah. When I saw you put the layout.js file, I thought it was strange to be in the root, but because I think the documentation said it was in app, but that looks
Okay, so there's the page. What was the original root page? Let me see, just make sure. The original root page. Yeah, there was. Oh, I had that fetch in there. We don't want to do all that because we're using the Vercel's Postgres backend. So I'll just leave that out.
oh, okay. So for this other demo, you created a Vercel Postgres table, and you're storing. Interesting. Well, I'd be interested in learning that too, but maybe to get started, we don't have to do that.
So this was the layout, the root layout. Put that in here. Okay, let me just get rid of this for now because it's gonna not know where those things are. Don't need that. It's gonna see if it'll run just like this. So we got layout, we got the root page. Layout, root page. We got the JS config. So that'll point to the app directory. Let's just see how this blows it up. Huh, it didn't blow up. Let's see if it's the new stuff though.
Uh-oh, I guess we have
Please
to,
remove the conflicting files.
I think it's pages/index.js. I think we can safely move that. Yeah, I'm curious what's in it, but I think it's just the same, like the auth provider and index.js. Index.js. Further down. Keep going down. Yeah, right there. Yeah, that looks like boilerplate stuff.
Yeah, this I guess is kind of like the root pages file, the root page file in the new app router.
Yeah, it looks safe to delete. I think you can delete.
Yeah. Don't need that. What else is in here? Can we get rid of the whole pages directory? Do we need anything in there?
We'll need to add the equivalent for the next auth. Like right now, there's that spread operator directory, like the ... thing to auto generate routes for the API, which we'll need to add the equivalent in app. But there's probably documentation for that. So I mean, I'm fine. It's in version control, so you can delete out everything, and if we ever need it, we'll bring it back.
I think this underscore makes a file kind of invisible to all that routing business.
Yeah, that's true.
That will just hide it. Let's see.
Nice. Yeah, just move it to the side.
Okay, that's still good. Okay, well, that's good.
New
let's
error.
do the globals.css.
Yeah, maybe it's called something else, slightly different. Yeah, it's looking for globals.css in where is it looking at? In the current directory? Globas.
Globas.
You just need an L. I feel like that's in Latin America somewhere. There's like a Globas.
Globas. Yeah, it sounds pretty official. So where does that get imported to?
App/layout.js line 1. I didn't know you. Oh yeah. Okay. So this must be your layout from. Okay. So it's the top. So it's looking for. Yeah, I think you can refresh, as long as it's still.
Yeah, it also does that as like that's like a default file when you do the create next.
Okay.
Huh. Can't find it. Is it running?
Maybe the /globals. I guess which directory is it relative to? Because if it's / could mean like in the root, could be. Try you can try /app/. Oh, it's also you called it global singular.css.
That's it. That's a problem.
Yeah. Okay. It'll be something.
Okay, like that. Oh, look at there.
Wow. Okay.
You're in business.
We're cooking with gas.
All right, so we got our app directory. We got global CSS. Our main layout, which is our children, is this page with the hello. So we can add a route and just see how that goes. Yeah, so all you have to do is just add a directory. It becomes a route.
Yeah. Well, I like it. It's auto generated. It's less work. There's some convention, but a lot of flexibility. So
we had did I make an API? Definitely need that.
okay.
Need an API.
Did you just happen to know that, or does it say it somewhere?
No, API, I think, is a convention. I think it's a thing it looks for. API. So let's say we just, I don't know, let's make call it test route. Just make this little temporary test route and make a page.js item. Then we export default. Is it export default? Let me make sure. Yeah, export default function. This is a test route. Oh wait, something's wrong with that. What's export default function page? Oh, I forgot the little argument thing. So now we should be able to go to test route / test route, and it should be there. There it is.
Let me see that route. Okay, it's called test route, and
Yeah, so I made this directory in there.
okay, right. So any directory is a route, and the page.js is defining what's in the route, and you can have nested routes, right? And so if you have one inside of this, like inside of test route, if you have another directory called test subroute, good, and then and there's no page.js in it. So if you try loading test route / test subroute, it should give you an error, right? Or a 404 or something else.
It's a good. Well, we don't have the not found file yet. Let's see. Test subroute.
I think you can leave test route there, but then you do / test subroute after it. That's.
Oh, right. It's a subdirectory. Yeah. Test route / test subroute.
Yeah.
Not found. So I guess there is a not found file in here somewhere, maybe.
Or it's a built-in NextJS not found. But you're right. There's a. Let me look in the documentation. If we wanted our custom not found page, where would we put it?
Then it goes in the root of the app directory. What did they say it was called? Not found?
not -found.js. Yeah, can we add one just for fun, just to test it? And what does it do? Does it return a... It could be a functional component. It could be like export default function.
Okay, let's see. Export default. I keep writing this wrong. Export default. Keep leaving function out. Export default function. Yeah, and apparently the name when you naming the function instead of the file here, it doesn't really matter. Like if you call it page or home or
that makes sense. It's the default export.
So this is the custom 404 page. All right, let's see if it. Oh,
nice.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Okay, I'm good. We can continue.
All right, so I guess the first thing, what do we have in the other one? Auth business. So now for next auth, we have to have, where is the setup here? So we have an auth directory inside of the API directory, the auth directory. Then inside of that auth directory, there's this route. Oops.
Yeah. Do you know if that's the same in the new app-based router? Like if you make a special file called square brackets dot dot dot.
Yes.
Okay.
Because this is where I'm using it. This is another app that Brian and I were doing. So square brackets spread next auth, and that's inside of square brackets. Okay, is that right? Square brackets next auth. Okay. Then inside of that next auth, there's just our auth route, which we could just call route.js. All right, so this is where we will put our next auth stuff with our credentials provider and whatever business we're going to do with it. So let's look at our other one. What was in our other one?
Do you know if the dot dot dot, like the thing after the dot dot dot, what is the meaning of next auth? Like, is that a convention? Does that have a special meaning?
Yeah, I think next auth is a convention and it has to be that way. I think it's I forget what it's. I think it's how it gets the some properties that it's passing into your route.js file.
Okay.
I'm not sure the exact explanation, but I know that's kind of a rigid thing. It has to be that convention. It has to be that set up that way.
Okay, that makes sense.
And let's do let's consult my new favorite friend, find.com. What does this do in next auth? It's good enough. It's going to rewrite my question like a reasonable person.
But what do you mean by this? Or you're gonna
Yeah.
wait? Are you typing that right now?
Yeah, I'm typing that.
I see.
A little space for extra code.
Oh, nice. It's like a special code block.
It's a dynamic route handler that handles all authentication requests coming to API auth endpoints. So I guess it's like a catch-all. Yeah, because I know in Next, that square brackets, it denotes a dynamic route. So that must be from NextJS to square brackets. I'm not sure how that spread operator is really working, but
Yeah, I think. I think the square brackets and the spread is a Next.js convention, so it has a. Okay, so I think and it knows to look in that. Maybe that's in any directory, or maybe it's specifically in a directory called API. And yeah, no, I'm satisfied.
yeah, it's enough to know.
Yeah. I am surprised that the square brackets is valid in a file name. I think like if you ever put parentheses in a file name, that's a huge pain in the ass. You got to escape that every time. But it looks like the square brackets is less of a pain.
Hmm. Yeah, the parentheses they have an to if you want to like group routes together, you can name a directory with the parentheses, and that tells Next.js, hey, this is not a route, and it goes past it and then looks inside of it for your routes.
Hmm.
This is a way to organize code because you can end up with a bunch of directories in your app, a bunch of routes directories in your app, root, and they may not be in order because everything else is in the root also. So you might want to just group them all together.
Yeah. Well, is it so? That's a directory called spread next auth, and then you put a file in it called route.js, and that's the app based way to do it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's in route.js? If we oh,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
show you the one from the other application. So this has all the next auth handlers, credential provider. So we got the Google provider, which we're not really using right now.
Mm-hmm. We're using
Credentials provider.
we're using GitHub provider, right?
Yes. So ours will be different in that way. And in here we were using the database, the Postgres database. I don't think we actually implemented the Google provider yet. We just have it set up in there, but we haven't created an account for the Google provider.
Yeah, you probably need to create like a Google OAuth app, just like we did for GitHub too, and then
Yeah.
developer dashboard or something.
And enter your credit card, please, sir.
Is that your app? That's you have a
Well, no, they
funnel.
make Google like you can't set it, you can't even like test it and use it unless you have an account with a payment attached to it, like a billing account attached to it. Apparently,
Man, yeah, they're really monetizing. They're like, we gotta get this funnel going. We gotta let you know. You gotta let us know you're worth our our time.
it's like we're not going to charge you right now, but we want that card on file because we will.
Just in case.
That, yeah, because they don't charge for all that, OAuth testing and stuff. But I don't know at what point if there's some fee. I don't think they charge anything for that, or maybe there's some limit to how many requests you can make for their OAuth.
Yeah, that's what I worry
I'm
about.
sure it's going to cost something.
Like Google Maps is so good, but then like always like, well, that's how they hook you, and then
Yeah, you start adding those features. It's like, okay, like that'll be 50 cents per call. It's like, yeah, it can get real. I was wondering, like, what are the companies that rely on that use it, like Chipotle or whatever, like what is their, expense for that? Because every time somebody opens up those restaurant apps, for instance, they're trying to find one. So they're going to use all that autocomplete and all that Google Map stuff that I found out is very expensive.
oh yeah, you were telling me, and I'm also logged into Chipotle, so they kind of like pass it along, and they're not the cheapest, burrito or whatever. So I would believe that the extra 50 cents is for a Google Maps call, like every time I do Chipotle delivery,
Probably.
because I'm too lazy to walk down the street or whatever.
All right. So let's see. Well, let's go back. How do we set up we could probably use the same code from this original credentials provider we had before. Let's see. What do we have? Where's our page? Where's the hidden pages? Okay, there we go. Get rid of that too. Okay, there we go. Pages, API, auth. All right, so that's what ours looked like. Where is the other one? Okay, versus that route. Okay, so we've got NextAuth, GitHub provider. Don't have credentials provider because we weren't doing that. NextAuth provider / GitHub. That looks the same. Not going to need bcrypt or the pool. Now here's where it's different. Okay, no, we have a handler here. We have a handler in the original project. Handler NextAuth options. Okay, I think all of this is pretty much the same. We just didn't have all these other options inside of our provider. And this is different too. In the latest Next.js, this is how you write when you export the handler. There's a little bit more to it. This as statement, I think that's new.
Oh yeah, that does look new, like ES6. Yeah, I forgot the names of all the different module standards, but so this one's exporting the same handler as both get and post. And if you don't mind, can you scroll up? Because like, is there like, how does it know to handle get and post differently depending on how it's called? Like, is there like an if statement saying like if get or if post or you know what I'm asking? Like what if it's claiming that the same handler can handle both get and post? I'm wondering, like,
Well, I think since this handler is a part of this NextAuth package,
okay.
I think it's some behind the scenes stuff that goes on.
Yeah, maybe NextAuth knows how to handle gets differently than post.
Yeah, I would guess because there's nothing to like handle that in any of this.
That makes sense.
Yeah, all of this stuff, this pages, the callbacks, this JWT session, all of this stuff, the session, JWT, callbacks, and page, that's all optional stuff that if you didn't have it there, it would just use default values. But like if you want to have like a custom sign-in page, you could set it here, custom error page. Yeah, so we can add that later. So this looks pretty much the way it's set up. Where are these options in my file? These options, where do we define our options here? Huh. Okay, I see. We just did like multiple steps. We called all this options, then passed it to NextAuth. But when we did it, we just went straight to NextAuth. The handler is calling just the same step, but just a little bit less. All right, so this should, I think, theoretically work. I'm going to put this from the original pages directory. I'm going to move it into the app directory route now. Pages, app. So that would all go here.
It's a very interesting background sound.
Yeah, this is a little dog.
Oh, no worries.
Basset hound or something like that.
I thought it was like milking a cow or something, but it was drinking water. Is that right?
Yeah. Aggressively drinking.
Mm.
So I think that's all we need for our route, for this auth route, because that's all we had before.
Okay. Yeah, I like breaking out the options to a previous map because then it's not like indented so deeply.
Right. Now, where were these? Okay, I see. Hand there. All right. Okay, so then how did we reference this in our page file?
I'll be right back.
Okay. App.
Okay. Did you step away too? Hey,
All right, so out here. So we had a sign in page. Um, maybe let's let NextAuth make the sign in page and then add a custom one.
oh yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I think you can even.
Reduce confusion. Okay, let me see how. I know we need a session provider. There's login, register. Okay, so on the other app, I don't know, maybe we never implemented the auth yet. I think maybe, no, we never got to auth. We just did the credentials provider. So we were just using Postgres database for now. So we'll have to create that for this one.
Let's see. Okay, so the providers is needed for. If we don't have the providers, then it's not going to work. Is that the gist of it? Or we do have our providers. We have just GitHub though. It's
Yeah, but I think our route to the provider is good. It's the client part.
oh, so your other providers was like custom because you stored it in a Postgres database, and so that's why you had code to like select users table and things like that. Is that right?
Right.
Okay, but GitHub it has its own database, and so it's doing its own OAuth lookup.
Right. So let's see. Let's see how we did it originally. So we had this session provider wrapped around our sign-in page. So maybe we could just bring the session provider into our main layout page, I think. And so we just wrap the whole thing with session provider.
Wrap the whole thing with session provider.
Like in our layout here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that would be the right place to do it, but like we could wrap. Oh, we did have that here, auth provider.
Okay, did you comment that out?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I guess we just uncommon it, really. Because our auth provider up here, that's coming from. Oh wait.
Well, you wrote your own auth provider, right? Looks like.
Yeah. Let's see. What did that? There's no components auth provider.
Oh man, your puppy is your puppy okay?
Yeah, he's just a beagle. That's his normal sound.
He's got opinions about the way we're coding this.
There's a pond out back, and he barks at the ducks.
Oh man, that explains it. Totally sounds like a need.
Yeah, and there's traffic going by, so he's got a lot to bark at, a lot to protect me from.
Also, if you ever get tired of typing, we can switch. But I'm also good to keep a watch.
Oh yeah, I'm good. So yeah, looks like we had an auth provider file, and we imported the session provider from NextAuth, which is the same thing essentially we did in our original sign-in page. We're just importing it at a different place here.
Okay, so auth provider includes session provider, and session provider is a next auth thing, which just like provides magic. Like, is there going to be a session consumer or a session context, something later that, well, I don't need to understand everything about it, but I guess like what I would look for later is some use of this session provider. Like I know there are other kinds of providers, and they have like there's a context provider in React, and then there's like a context consumer or something further down the tree. So I guess I'll keep a lookout because that's what I expect to see.
Yes, let me go back to where we originally used it. I think it was the sign in. Yeah, here this use session that we used in our custom sign in page. Use session works if it's a child and a child of that provider. So once you have that provider wrapped around your children, those children can use this use session from NextAuth.
Oh, okay. This is one of them custom hooks, and okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. So so use session lets you rename it to data renames the data to something called session, and then this is also like a component. Okay, I think I understand it at a rough level enough to move on. This is good. Thank you.
Okay. So we need to. So now we've got. What is our layout? No. Next auth demo. Okay, so this we don't have anything in this. Why is there nothing in this next auth demo layout? Next auth demo. Oh, I think this is this. That's not supposed to be there. Okay, so this is our layout page. So we will uncomment this auth provider so that all children can use that use session. What? It's gone. Okay. Let me get rid of this too. All right, so now everything we should be able to access this use session in all these methods here from NextAuth. So this would happen in a page, our main page. Our root that's in the root. Let me get rid of that. Inside our app directory, we've got our main page. And this is where we want to use that session and the sign in and all this stuff. And then we deconstruct whatever our auth provider returns will be in this. And we need a sign in button. Let's just try that for now. Button.
BUTT.
BUTT.
Bouton.
Bouton. Now it's French. Okay. And so this is going to call our sign in. Sign in.
That might be left over from your, it says module not found. It's for simply track. That might be left over from your other demo.
Simply track. Yeah. What's in the auth component?
If you scroll up a little more, I think it'll tell you which file it's in. App layout, line 3.
Okay. Line 3. Oh, this. Oh, we don't really need that. See if we get rid of that. Global CSS. Where am I importing Auth there? Okay.
Line 3, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's where you wrote your auth provider, but we
don't have that.
I mean,
right.
We did.
It's here.
We created a NextAuth object, but is it because you created a custom auth provider that uses your Postgres? Is that what the auth provider component was?
No.
Oh, it's a React component. No.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know that. I think the point it's in its separate file, which if you look at the top, it says use client.
Mm.
I think that is so that anything that the children that are using that NextAuth session provider, this needs to happen in a client component. But if you have it in a regular server component, it won't work because it has to be in a use client. So I think by putting it in its own separate file, that's a client file, its children, even if they're server components, can still access what it's delivering. It's whatever its methods are and functions. Does that make sense?
Well, I don't think
like I know, like you use effect. You can't in Next.js. You can't use anything that's React client type code. You can't use in a regular server component that hasn't been designated as a client component like this. So a way to get around that is to put whatever you're using in that server component. If it's like React type front end stuff, you put it in a use client component and you can that around the server component, and then it can have access to those React type features that are only allowed in client components.
Okay, so this is the difference between like client side rendered and server side rendered. So do you mean that there are some client side only context or variables, and you need to specify use client for them to have access to things that are going to be in the client's browser, something like that?
Yeah, and that basically pertains to anything, all like the React hooks and things like that. They can only be used in client components. It'll give you an error if you try to use it in a component a server component. Okay. But the thing is, like, you're trying to only have client components with things that need to, react dynamically and stuff. So it's sort of like a game between figuring out, okay, can this be a server component? Do I need to have, this whole thing? Because it'll refresh every time. But you can put a client component inside of a server component. So like if your main, architecture and everything is your server component, and then say you have a little part of it on the side that needs to access to server and refresh and stuff like that, you can make that a client component by using that use client directive, and then put that inside of a server component.
Okay. I think I I get it. And also, I know Next does some server side rendering optimizations. Maybe that's by default. And so I guess when you specify use client, the Next knows not to try and server side optimize this, but send it over to the client side as React and then let the client side render it as a HTML. That's my guess. And then,
Yeah, by default, the components you make in Next.js are server components, but
okay.
unless you make them a client component with that.
And then I think once it's a component is client, then you can't have children component of it be server components. I think like
I think that's right. I'm not sure, but I think that's how it works.
yeah.
You can put a client component inside of a server component, but you can't put a server component inside of a client component.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it wouldn't make sense because your client component might be like, re-rendering, and it will defeat the purpose of the server component because it's not supposed to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you've sent it over to the client, there's no like take backsies. Like you can't send it what the server side rendered would have been.
Yeah, you'll get a mismatch between what it thinks is on the server and what you actually. All right, so I should make inside of this demo, let me just make a components directory just to keep that stuff separate. Components.
Okay. So we do need this auth provider component in our new demo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add it. Auth provider. And I will just pop this in there. Because nothing's really different. We're using exporting the auth provider. So now, is it happy now? Components. So it should be detected lowercase method options. The case doesn't like the casing of options. So that's in our route. Okay, it doesn't like lowercase option. I don't know why it doesn't like that, but export upper. All right, let's just see what happens. Okay, there's our sign in button. Oh, this is something. This is not our app. Okay, so that seems to work.
Sorry, switched away for a minute. Let me. Oh, nice. Okay. So when you click sign in, what happens?
So we're using the built-in sign-in method from the NextAuth package, and I put it on this button, sign-in button, and then so it automatically knows to look for whatever we have in our route here, which we just have our GitHub provider.
Yeah.
So that is what comes up.
And one thing I wanted to add was, I guess like it says nextauth/React, but I guess there are other libraries like Svelte or well, I don't know of any others, but so maybe NextAuth I think provides components for these other frameworks too, but we happen to be using the React one. So
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
yeah, no rush.
So, all right, so that seems to work. I wonder what happened if I click the GitHub button now.
I also want to know. Site cannot be reached. Localhost refused to connect. Was it which port? Okay, it's not port 3000 though. That's yeah. Where do we set that? Because when I registered the app, I was pretty sure I put localhost colon 3000 to make sure that it would redirect. But is there some local setting where we need to add the port number instead of just localhost? Localhost slash API should be localhost colon 3000 slash API.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Like, can we shift, what is it, command shift F or find in all files? Or that, yeah, that works too. And localhost. Interesting. That's the README documentation. It's all pretty smart. It seems to know the default is port 3000. Here, let me, I'm going to Google. NextAuth, localhost, port number. Oh, there's the environment variable NextAuth URL that I'm pretty sure, I thought we put 3000 at the end of it, but it's uppercase NextAuth underscore uppercase URL. You can echo it on the terminal to see what we set it to.
Echo string.
Echo space $sign.
This is one word, NextAuth underscore URL.
Yeah, and those letters are all uppercase.
We don't have 3000.
All right, that's it. That's why it's not redirecting correctly. So we just gotta export, and you can find it if you do like Control R, and it'll search backwards in history, and you can search for when we exported it last time. So Control R and then type export lowercase. And yeah, and then here you can press right arrow to like accept this autocomplete and then move all the way to the end. Control E, I think also. Control E moves to the end.
Control E. Oh, yeah, good shortcuts. I like that.
And then colon 3000.
So that'll overwrite the old one.
Yeah, that's right. And then we can npm run, and I think it'll work this time. Or we'll get further in the pipeline. Oh wait, do we have another terminal open that's running on 3000?
Shit, why was it still running? I quit it.
That happens to me all the time.
Huh. So that's not gonna work. I can't remember the command to like find terminals, ports, open ports. Do you know it off the top of your head?
Say again. The command to open.
How to like find like open running ports and kill them.
Oh, I mean, I would search for other VS Code terminals. Like on the right hand side, it looks like that pane is kind of cut off, but.
No, just one terminal running. Let me close the terminal entirely. Let's see.
Which process is listening on?
Oh, but wait. If I just close the terminal, I just killed our variables we put in there.
My bad. Yeah, we should really.
I'll save them somewhere. Put them in the env file or something. Um,
let me. This is a recurring problem too. But so first things first, if you you can use the lsof command, which I think is like list open files. Let's.
ooh, that's a lot of stuff.
So like if you wanted to lsof on port 3000, you would type. Oh, that is a lot. I don't know.
lsof
Minus I. I pasted the command into
Okay.
the chat.
What does that -I mean? I've used it a lot when I'm copying stuff.
It
What
depends
is
on
I, the I flag?
it depends on the command. I don't know what it means for lsof. It might stand for interface. Let me read the man page for lsof. It says items of the. I guess it stands for item. That's kind of a generic answer, but
The port's running what it says. Okay, the port's open. Let me run that. Okay, yeah, so now that it's running, let me get this.
okay. So did we have to set all the? I guess we'll find out that we missed all the environment variables that we have to set again. But yeah, if you go to the page localhost 3000 and
No.
click sign in, well, we haven't gotten to GitHub yet, so I mean, yeah, now we'll try it. Now ooh,
Okay.
very
But
nice.
that's weird because those should be gone. Huh.
Unless
But whatever.
unless VS Code, whenever you clicked it, maybe VS Code just like hit the terminal, and but you're right. That's a good question. If you like Control C in that terminal now and you echo,
But you know what? I never had to put those. I've never had to put those variables in
okay, maybe
the next URL and the other thing.
maybe the new NextJS 13. Well, I'm glad we don't have to do it, but the real test is like we're gonna log in with your real GitHub username, if you please.
Boom. Authorized learner long.
Oh man, why is it my username and not? Okay, so here is where I think we need those NextAuth secrets. But I'm curious. I mean, there are a couple of things. Your icon showed up because it's you're logged in as that user in OAuth. It said the app was by me because I created the OAuth app and the client ID and the client secret. That makes sense. But then it said authorize learner long life, who is me. And let me double check that I created this app for all users and not just myself, because that's one thing.
Yeah, now we're getting that error. This try signing count us again.
Yeah, so I think that's because you need the NextAuth URL environment variable and the NextAuth secret. And the NextAuth secret can be anything, like any 64-bit constant, but the NextAuth URL has to be HTTP localhost :3000.
Okay. Is that OpenSL?
What's that?
Oh, let me try that thing you just showed me. It was Control R.
Yeah.
And it was open there. Okay. Oh, sweet. I like that shortcut. I was looking for that random generator.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. You can probably even. Oh, that's a good point. In the command history, you can type Control R export, and it'll probably show you setting NextAuth URL and NextAuth secret. like the exact values you used last time too. So that's stored in the history, which,
Control R export.
and then just keep pressing Control R to keep going backwards to various search hits until you get to the one that you want.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just, okay, got that set. And Control R export. Export. What was the other one we needed? The secret?
NextAuth_secret, right. And if you keep pressing Control R, you should get to that command too, and it'll show you the exact random value you used last time.
Control. Oh, I see how it's going. Okay. It's the secret. This is it right here, right? That's what.
Yeah, that looks like it. So
okay.
you just press
so those are in there.
Yeah, so you press enter on both of those, and then npm run again. But it looks like you have two terminals, so it's gonna kill that.
Sure do.
So kill it on the right and then open it on the left.
Okay. Sign in. GitHub.
No. How did we fix this last time? I thought for sure it was the environment variables. It was the environment variables. I think I still have the Google hit up on that one.
It's a callback error. No access token provided. I bet it's something in the setup of your GitHub.
Of the app or the repo?
When you set up the Auth app in GitHub.
Oh, you don't have the client ID and the client secret different? Although here I will show you this next.config.js where they put the secret, and I think we can put the URL in too. So let me show you that, and then so in your next.config.js you can put the nextauth secret, and I'm not sure, but I think you can try putting the nextauth URL. Yeah, next.config.js. If you have it, it's
I think I need to make it.
Okay, well I gave you
next. I do have one in my other application.
Oh yeah, okay. So there is where you can specify nextauth secret and nextauth URL, just in case that happens to us in the future where we have to close the terminal.
Next. J. Okay, so
and while you're doing that, I'm going to give you another, like a new app client ID and secret, just on the off chance that's what's causing the problem. Like in GitHub, there's something called an OAuth app, and it's just like a normal GitHub app. And I don't know the exact difference. I thought we wanted the OAuth app. That's what we did last time, but I'm going to give you.
So we need the next URL in here also, in this env object.
I think if we put it in there, then we don't have to set it in the terminal each time. I think that's my suspicion.
All right, look then. Okay, got okay. Next is not defined. Must. Oh, did I name this file? Next. Oh, I got a little title.
What's up?
Just when I copied what you sent for the next config file, I left some garbage at the top.
Oh,
that was an error.
Okay. Yeah, it's
like where you had written what the name of the file was at the top. I left it in there.
There's a random space that shouldn't be there, so it should just be next.config.js. Okay.
All right, that's good.
But also that app client ID and app client secret in that paste is not a valid. It's not the one you should use. I DM'd you the one you should use.
Yeah, I copied those.
Okay. And I think you probably put an HTTPS by accident in the URL because.
I think I didn't put anything in.
Oh, okay. Then it assumed it was secure by default. Okay.
It should be S.
Not S. Yeah, you're not running a secure server locally.
Right. All right. Restarting. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Magic.
Well, at least no or different errors. What is the server log message?
Oh, yeah.
We're back.
Same thing.
All right, let me
try something different.
Let me bring up that Google hit again. Do you remember what we did to solve it? It was.
We didn't get that problem. Have that.
Oh, the error trace will say no access token. Okay, I think maybe it is expecting something called.
So this message is from GitHub. Provider, no access token. Auth callback error.
So in your code somewhere, you're loading process.env.github _ token, right? I mean, I guess it was called GitHub token in the past, and we renamed it to be secret. But I think part of NextJS, NextAuth still expects it to be called GitHub token. So I'm just gonna Google NextAuth, GitHub token.
So maybe I should take them out. Is it going to be confused between our next config file that has env environment variables and our env file that also has environment variable?
You can populate them from both, I think, like in next.config.js it is a JS file, so inside of it you can, instead of giving it actual values, you can say process.env.github, whatever the variable is. But I think you have to load the .env module, which knows to look for in the .env file. So Yeah, like if you search for wherever we're calling process.env before, look at the top of that file and it probably says require.env, like the words dotenv config at the top. Yeah, scroll to the top of that file. Does it say anything?
No, we don't have. No, we never use that. I don't even know if
Okay.
the .env package is installed.
Okay, well that's probably the problem right there. Is it's still it's loading like empty, like it's yeah.
I wonder if there's anything special about environment variables. So I know, like you have to in React, you have to name the.
Yeah, so I think so this is not the file, but if you want to use the .env file, then well, I guess keep scrolling down. Does it say anything about the file? Because the file lets you avoid having to like export those variables all the same all the time. There, .env.local to load environment variables. That's what we want. Oh, NextJS does it automatically for you. Okay, so as long as you have something called .env.local, I think.
So yeah, here's how we're doing it. That's normal.
Yeah.
What about their config files? That method you just showed me.
That's probably described in a different section, but I guess what they're saying is that NextJS automatically loads anything in a .env file, and you can name them differently if you want to load it in development mode versus production mode. But in our case, if you called it .env anything, like just .env or .env.local, it's already loaded. So you can refer to it as process.env name of the variable in any Next.js file. That's my takeaway from this page.
All right. I'm just wondering, I don't see anything about what that config file, how that interacts with the .env file. Like, does it have a priority where it says if this is also in the .env?
Oh, I see.
Config file.
I see what you're asking. It's
Yeah.
well, here's the thing you can do. So at the top of this file, like before the like on line 2 or something, you can just like console.log.process.env. I think you can just print all of process.env if you want to, if you're not sure what's set on it. And will that print the key value pairs that we want? Yeah, we can just console.log everything beginning with GitHub. So yeah, you can accept the autocomplete that it gives you, GitHub app client ID, and then copy and paste that line like 2 more times, and print out the other variables. Like, so that's the app client ID and app client secret. But then there's also just GitHub client ID and GitHub client secret.
I got the ID, the secret. Is there another GitHub one?
Well, I don't think autocomplete's going to be able to provide these, because these are things that you're setting from .env, and VS Code may not be smart enough to know that Next.js is doing this. So you have to type it in explicitly, even if it's not in the autocomplete. So
what do you think I should do for this third one?
We'll look in .env and see what we called them. Yeah, so print out those two. And then it's a mystery, like what NextAuth expects them to be called, whether there should be app in them or not. But I would just print them all out just to see what it's expecting, and then If I had to guess, this next config is like the last thing it reads before it runs the rest of the next app. So whatever you set it as in here is what is in process.env and the rest of the app.
Okay, I just marked those so we know they're from the env file.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, unexpected token where? What happened? Config
I think you ran that before you saved the file this time. Line 2 looks fine to me.
Okay. Undefined.
Okay, but then you're supplying the secret on line 17 and 18. And the GitHub app does look different. The app client ID begins with that IV1 dot, which looks weird to me, but so it is different than
that doesn't look.
Well, it doesn't look like the OAuth app. The OAuth app looked different. It was only hex characters, and so I guess the real question is whether NextAuth is paying attention to the variable called GitHub app client ID or the one called GitHub client ID. And both of them are valid apps. Yeah.
Where's the file we actually used it? Here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you could supply GitHub app client ID and GitHub app client secret here because at least it's different. We can try something we haven't tried before and see if it gets through. But the app is with an underscore. Yeah.
And the other one was
GitHub app client secret. Yeah.
GitHub app client secret. Okay. Okay. So maybe it was this change, because maybe this is referencing the config now. So we don't know, is that right or is that wrong? Well, the config file must be right.
Did we try clicking sign in? I missed that part.
Oh, yeah. This is up now.
Oh.
I didn't follow through yet.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. No, it's good to understand. So it looks like app is what is expected. GitHub app client ID, GitHub app client secret instead of the version without it. So that's new, and that may be that was not the way it was in this project before. So we would have spent a lot of time on that.
Okay, so we are not using in the env file.
Yeah, it looks like we're not using the env file at all, which is good because we removed it from the index. So we're not tracking it, and it could get blown away.
But is this next config being tracked?
Well, we should add it. Yeah, good. I think it's new.
But it's got our secrets in it.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Then I think we should keep the .env file, and we should load. Yeah, we should load from so the .env file is loaded by NextJS already, and then inside next config, you can remove your console.logs, and well, that's a.
Can we reference the env in our next config?
Well, how are you getting GitHub app client ID and GitHub app client secret to, do you reference GitHub app client ID or secret anywhere else, or is it purely just from this next config that,
It's just from this next config. That's the only place we called it.
well, then nothing has changed from last time except that we console logged a bunch of stuff. So it's kind of just disturbing that it works now and it didn't work before.
Well, no, we changed it in our route here, in our GitHub.
Oh, I see.
In our GitHub provider, we changed. So now we're referencing the config file instead of the env file.
Okay. Well, yeah, then I would remove the secrets from next config and only keep them in .env, and then you can add and commit next config to Git.
So maybe I'll just change this to match.
Oh yeah. Good. You're right. That's what we need to do. That's different.
And then grab from our config. I'll grab this stuff. I might as well just grab the whole. No, I can't grab the whole thing. Let's take this here. So our app client ID is you. Our GitHub app client secret is you. Okay, so we don't need this or the secret anymore. Guess keep the next auth. Maybe that's all we need to have. Let me check this again. All right, so that should work. You know what I'm at really quickly?
What?
The sign out button.
Oh.
Just so we can also do that too.
Unlimited demos. We'll just cycle back and forth.
Sign out. Be our sign out. Okay. Okay, sign in.
What? Maybe we're already signed in?
We are probably.
Oh, and you don't have conditional action to render differently if we're already signed in, but we can add that next. And we can try the sign out and then see if maybe read the server log, go back to the VS Code, see if there are any errors. Nope, looks good to me. A little too suspiciously too good, too quiet.
Yeah, it's a little too quiet.
I don't know if I believe that things are hooked up and clicks are received.
I wonder if it's stored anything about.
Yeah, that's NextAuth message. That's interesting. There's some session stuff there. Timestamp.
Nothing in session storage. Okay, so yeah, maybe since it probably just saved my. So does it change anything in storage? Oh, that's garbage. That's nothing. Event session. So how do you know if you signed?
That's a good question. If you click sign in now, after clicking sign out, will it give you the GitHub thing? It will. Okay. So it is keeping track. We are really signing in and signing out. And we only
do you think it just signed me in behind the scenes since I was already?
But then, but you click signed out, right? So if you click sign in twice, I think it knows you're already signed in, and it won't display the sign in with GitHub button. That's my theory. But if you click sign out,
but there's no. My question is, there's no back end. Where is it saving? Like, how would it know? What's it checking to see if like my credentials are stored?
Oh yeah, well you checked the client side cookies, but I bet that it's NextJS is storing it in some Next.js storage, like server-side storage. But also it's checking, it gets an access token and a refresh token from GitHub OAuth. And I think that's how it knows whether to present you with this. Oh, but you just clicked it twice, so yeah, I'll stop. Clearly, I don't know what's happening here. I'm just guessing.
I was like, so that's interesting. So maybe what would be interesting is to, inside of our route here in this options, we can, I think it's the callback options, like we can tell it what to do when it's signed in. Like, we can assign a callback method to it. Let's see, NextJS, NextAuth callbacks. Okay, so like these are all things you can do in the callbacks. Something to do when sign in is true. Redirect URL. Oh wait, this is not a route. This is not the app router directions. These are directions for if you're using the pages, which I don't really know if it's necessarily different. Sign in, callback.
Yeah, I was going to say before we started that we may, we're like one of the new people who are trying app-based router with NextAuth, and they don't even have a tutorial up for it yet, so we're kind of on our own, but we kind of knew that.
Yeah, I think I had to look for stuff outside of their documentation. But I know I found it somewhere because I was doing it with the other application. Well, so anyway, so you sign in. So I wonder if that session provider, I'm going to quit this. I wonder if that session provider is storing, like who you are. I wonder if we quit this entirely and restart. I'm going to clear this.
Okay.
Out to clear out the storage. Make sure there's nothing in there. Go back to nothing. Okay. Okay. Huh. So what is it like? Why is it not? Because I'm in an incognito page, so it's saving stuff. It shouldn't be. So what if I want to switch, to another user?
Yeah, I guess I'll also look up NextAuth, like conditional rendering of logged in session. Okay, NextAuth part 4. Render the index page depending on whether you are logged in or not. Yeah, so far it says import use session, sign in, sign out from NextAuth React like you've done, and then, and then if session. So you did this. You said, maybe you copy this from your time tracker demo. You have components that call use session, and then you check whether it's true, and then you display one thing. I think you've showed me that you already did this. It's this component here. Yeah, so you just gotta, yeah, you just have to say if session, then show a different message, and then else return what we have now, which is the sign in button. Oh yeah, so the sign out button is only if session is true. So if session is true, then you can say signed in as session.user.email. Well, that's interesting, because then you can actually show what user it thinks we are. Session.user.
Okay. I console log the session object and see.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. No, I guess it would be data. Okay, there's a session. Oh, there it was. Data is not defined. Okay. Sessions undefined. So what's in this status? Okay, that's good. How about says, so I should be able to do I didn't understand that. So
Well, I think it's just like you had it in your time tracker. But yeah, so data gets mapped to session with no dot. And then you say if session. You can print session, but it'll probably be like a JavaScript object, and it may not print the keys usefully. But yeah, you say if session, then return the React component, which has the sign out button, and then otherwise, else return the component with the sign in button. And then that way only one button will be displayed. If you're signed out, it'll let you sign in, and if you're signed in, it'll let you sign out.
oops. So if session,
Then the
what do I
sign
have there?
the sign out button, right? And if you want to get fancy, you can have that extra tag that says signed in as session.user.email, and it will like print what user email it thinks you are.
Oh, let me see.
Oh, nice.
Sign
You're enclosing in a div,
in.
like a proper.
And it's,
Yeah, it's
how do we get to it?
open curly brace session.user.email. That's pretty cool. I didn't even think it revealed your email address as an OAuth user. I mean, that's kind of disturbing too, but it's probably going to be the private GitHub no reply email, like not your real email. It's
Yeah, I didn't.
session.user.email. Sorry, what you were going to say?
No, yeah, I'm sure there's probably some GitHub handles behind the scenes. Now, what's off here? Why do I have this here? One parent. Okay, I got multiple stuff. So if there's a session, all right, that look good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. No complaints.
Row. What's okay, so we're signed out, and
Oh,
it is leaking
it.
your email address. That's not good. Oh, but you probably haven't switched it in your GitHub settings. That's all.
What, to make it
To make it,
private or hidden?
so GitHub requires an email address, but sorry, Git requires an email address for your commits to identify you. But in GitHub, you can change it in your settings in the email section to choose like an auto-generated fake email for you, which I recommend you do. Just
Let
because
me do that right now.
yeah, because right now like web crawlers are like, they're slurping up that delicious real email.
So you said it's in my settings?
Yeah. Settings and emails.
Public email. That.
Yeah, you can remove it or choose from the drop down a different, like the auto generated, or sorry, you should.
Oh, there's just other emails that are attached to my account.
I mean that. Yeah, so that's just to display, and then under emails, the section on the left.
Okay.
You can scroll down further. So it says primary emails. This will be used for account related notifications. That's fine to leave that there, but then the checkbox where it says keep my email address as private, you want to check that. And then okay, and then so you can copy and paste that 1636039 blah 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 no reply.github.com. So now when you make changes on the web, like if you change a markdown file or something in the web UI, it'll be display this email address. All your past commits will still have your Gmail address attached to them. So that's it's not the worst thing in the world, but going forward you don't have to keep tagging commits with your email address. So that means everywhere you're developing, you would type, you would git config this new email address. So you would say git config -- global user.email, and then you would paste that 1636. Yeah, so if you type that command, or even better, if you edit what's in your .git config file and change your email there to the no reply version, then anything you commit and push going forward will have this like new email address. And if you're really concerned about privacy, you could just like delete or make private. That's probably the better thing, is to make private all your existing GitHub repos. But I think what you've checked right now is enough. It's like now if you sign out and sign in, I think it'll show that not your MRE code's Gmail, but the no reply address. That's my guess.
All right, let's see if that works. So go back. Sign out. All right, we got this again.
Okay, that's promising. That probably means it's picked up the email change. So that's why it's making
We'll redirect this.
Well, it's so private that it's not displaying anything. Okay, good. All right, because I think the first settings box where you chose the drop down like public email as none, I think that's why it's picking up here. So, but good. I think that's vastly preferable setting.
Yeah, I agree. So let me sign out. Signed out. Sign in. I guess it's looking at something stored somewhere to know that I'm still me.
There are other like you can try printing the keys of session.user. Like, let's say if you in the React component, if you use like object.keys of session.user, and I'm going to guess like if you stringify it. So if you stringify the keys of user, or even I think if you just stringify the object, stringify.session.user and console.log that, then it'll print you everything on that object, and one of them could be user ID, so that it still knows it's you. One of them could be the public display, like Amari codes by itself is your GitHub username. That's public. That's probably one of the elements of session or session.user. And then other things like your login time and when it expires, and yeah. And we can also I'll let you try this first, and then we can look at the network and the web inspector, because I bet there's some requests in there that show you exactly what it's requesting from GitHub and what GitHub is sending back.
It doesn't like this. Why?
It doesn't like
session user.
Session.user.
Oh, it shouldn't be inside here.
Oh, yeah. It should be inside the. Well, no, I think it was fine where it was. It's like after you've defined session as what's returned from use session, and it's a type error.
Oh, I didn't really define session. I just have this. I have data. But it should be data.
But you use session on line 14,
right.
So.
Right. That's weird. Where's it getting session from?
If you move the console.log into the if session, try that. I don't know. I kind of want to troll the runtime and see if it objects to it in there somehow. Okay, I think it's different because JSX is not arbitrary JavaScript. It's like a subset that is functional, that it can render in a straight through fashion, without state, and somehow putting it inside the if is different than putting it outside the if.
Sounds good to me. So what's in here? Sign in.
Oh, so you can expand. Yeah. Okay, cool. There's some interesting looking keys. There's definitely something called name, which is you. And then if you wanted to know, if you click on network next to console, then, whenever you're. So you can look at those fetch requests, click on any of them and drag the pane on the far right that's kind of off screen. If you drag it over where it says request down below that.
Okay, yeah. See,
yeah, drag it. And you can click on headers, you can click on preview, response. Headers is the most interesting right now. So this calls, I'm looking for what it sends out to GitHub, but it does show there's a cookie for NextAuth, which contains a temporary token from GitHub that it's using for future requests.
Okay, so if I go look in my cookies, where is that in here?
Oh, yeah.
Cookies. Okay, so I guess that's how it knows. Okay, so I guess that's how it knows it's still me. So, but what if I was wanted to literally sign in as a different user? So.
Oh, so you have to. Well, that's a good question. It didn't give you a choice, right? You just sign out.
No.
That is. That's a good
like a
question.
sign in as a new you option.
I wonder if you go to GitHub in a different tab first and you sign out from GitHub and then you try coming back here, whether that would, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, see, as soon as I sign in, it adds that cookie, another cookie down there.
And we never had to provide a username. I think
Let me sign in on this tab and sign in on this tab. Oh, I'm still signed in. Okay, just checking the cookies. Let me go to a whole new. Okay. Huh. This knew me too.
yeah, I mean that is the creepy cookie tracking part. Like maybe the cookie is available on all tabs on all websites. Like once you've logged in on GitHub, it's detected. That's why I can, like, if you browse one thing on Amazon and then you go to a different website, it will use the Amazon cookie to show you ads based on what you're browsing on Amazon, which is like unwanted user following across websites. But I think
So
it's
maybe GitHub maybe has some connection to this, where when you click sign in, maybe it goes and checks GitHub. I don't know, maybe it looks like your GitHub config file or something. I don't know. It's weird though.
yeah.
It's like, what if I wanted to? Maybe that's in the GitHub auth documentation, like a way to set up how it works. Like if you ask for, if you want to switch users or something.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm gonna look up NextAuth change GitHub OAuth user. It says, yeah, new OAuth accounts get linked to the existing sessions user when a user is already signed in but want to sign into a different OAuth account. The current sessions user gets linked to the newly created account. Yeah, I found a GitHub issue which looks related, but maybe not quite. It's like when you sign in with different email address, somehow that gets linked to the current sessions user,
Oh,
and they decide not to fix it. Like this hasn't been looked at for over a year or almost a year.
when you want to sign into a different OAuth account, the current sessions user gets linked to the new created account.
It doesn't sound good, whatever it is.
No. No.
I don't know if this is exactly what we're looking at, but
No, that is strange. I mean, it's basically working how it's supposed to, but it's kind of weird that you can't. I'm trying to think how it works when I've done with other applications that might have GitHub sign in.
yeah, I think in other applications it does ask you for the username. So I don't even know how it would work, like why it's not asking us for a username this time.
Right. Even if I've been there before, if I log out, they're going to ask me to connect, sign in my user, my GitHub information.
Yeah, I think I'll ask find for a different question. I'll say, why doesn't NextAuth OAuth ask you for your GitHub username when signing in? It says the reason why it doesn't ask is because it's leveraging OAuth for authentication. OAuth is a protocol that lets external apps request authorization to private details in a user's GitHub account without getting their password, so on and so forth. Well, it doesn't explain how it knows which user you are unless it's a cookie. I guess you could open an incognito tab, another incognito tab, maybe.
Well, no, it did the same thing, even with another incognito tab.
It knew who you were?
Yeah.
That's weird. It says it uses an access token. Okay, so I think if you clear, maybe if you clear all cookies and all local storage, and then try it.
Let's go back here. Clear my cookies. Let me get rid of. Okay, deleted my cookies.
And try clearing local storage and session storage too.
Local storage is clear. I mean, session storage is clear. Local storage is clear. Start back at the beginning. So when I first go there, I get just next auth message. And
oh man.
So it already threw some cookies in here.
Maybe it is remembering your IP address. Yeah, it's not. Maybe NextAuth is like pre-prompting GitHub, and GitHub is remembering that this IP address just logged into it. Yeah.
But I don't understand, even if, because there's, let me quit this again, because there's no persistent storage really going on. So I don't know how NextJS is saving anything.
Yeah, I guess there could be like there could be global cookies that are not covered in this. Like these could be cookies just for this domain, and there could be cookies just like in general, like in cache storage or shared storage or something. Like there's like a hardcore clear all cache data on your browser, and that's going to remove all your logins, and it's probably going to be a pain in the ass for your like Netflix account or whatever. But you could try that nuclear option. Another is if you have a VPN, you could log in, you could turn on your VPN and then see if it's linked to your IP address. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep, still knows me. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how it's doing that though. That's a good question. Well, do you mind committing and pushing what you have? Because I think it's great. I think it's a huge step up because it was not working before.
Yeah, I think so. It's working. Let's see, anything we need to clear out of here.
The console.logs, I think, in a next config.
And look, no problems. Beautiful thing.
I don't know about that.
That's because we're not using TypeScript. That's why.
Oh, is it? Do type problems show up in the problems tab?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I think they do because I don't know why I wasn't using TypeScript, but I was still getting these. I think the linter was set for TypeScript because I kept getting these prop type errors when I was just doing a regular React app.
Well, we're
and
not.
So
yeah.
They were showing up in my problems tab.
I don't remember that tab, but we're not using TypeScript right now.
No.
Oh, good. Probably if there were like warning squiggles, like you were saying, linting errors, they would show up.
All right. So let me just. Do we need to keep this pages?
No, as far as I know, we've totally removed the need for it.
I don't think so. So that means pages, look in there. Yep, that can go. Delete pages. App. This components we don't need. We have our own components folder in the app directory now. Styles we don't really need. That's our global CSS for now. Next config. Yeah, can ignore. Good. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. Talk demo. Just out of curiosity. So we need to add our app directory. Deleted. Okay, that's all good. And then JSON config and the next config. Okay. Not a word. Get status, get ignored, next. Good. All right, it looks like all good.
I think you need to add the deleted files too to, there you got them. That's all. And also .gitignore.
Oh, right. Okay, good. And okay. Oh wait, why is that env? Oh, modified.
Oh, but we want to remove it from the index, and I think try the git space rm space -- cached .env and see if that removes it from the index. Is it still there?
Deleted.
Oh man, I don't think that's what we wanted. That wasn't quite what we wanted. We wanted to remove it from the index, but not from the.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Is it really gone?
I think if you have a tab open, then we still have some hope that we can resave it. Oh yeah, you can resave it. Let me look
Just
up.
copy this real quick.
Let me look up what I actually meant instead of how do I remove a file from Git's index while leaving it in the local directory.
Okay, I took it out of the stage for commit.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, yeah, as long as you're not committing it, then I think.
It's git restore stage -- staged, and that takes it off of that. Changes TB, takes it off the stage. Okay, so at least it's not, but it's still tracked though. It's still being tracked. We still need to untrack it. Untrack without deleting.
Yeah, I think what
this looks right, what you said.
I think we want to. Yeah, I forget. I did this once before, but there's some subtlety we're missing.
But why does it show us deleted? That's weird. Maybe that'll go away. Let me just paste this in another file just so it's easy to fix. But maybe that's the right thing. Maybe it won't really delete the file.
As long as it's not committing, I think, well, if you restore stage the file and then you commit and push the rest of it, then I think maybe we can handle it afterwards.
Yeah, we just have to make the little file again. That's not tough. Git commit.
Oh, but did you restore it first? But you deleted it. Good. No, you did the right thing. It's going to be deleted from the index.
Let's see.
You can say working GitHub login.
GitHub login to app router.
Good.
That's pretty much it.
Is it not enough? Are you not satisfied?
Are you not entertained? Working GitHub login. They made a sequel to Gladiator, which I thought was this it one of those Oscars, and it was all that raving about that. You know, the
I remember
Australian
it.
guy. Yeah, I saw it. It was okay, but I just did not get like the reaction, like the hype about it. Like it was just amazing. It just didn't. It just seemed so far from what all the hype and the Oscars were saying about it.
Yeah, this may be politically incorrect, but do you know this meme where it's saying like all men think of Rome every day? Like I forget where this meme came from, but it's basically like in high tech circles. But I think it's basically saying like white guys think about ancient Rome every day, and so
like
like white guys like can't get enough.
Pinnacle of achievement.
I guess so. They're like holding it up or something. But I love Gladiator too. I mean, I love ancient Rome, and I took Latin in high school. But it may be But I have to admit, it, like part of me is still trying to fit into to white culture. So
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I think, there was that whole move, I don't know, 80s, 90s to kind of like dismantle Western based, just, Eurocentrism, in general, like as holding up like the old great white writers or artists or Rome and Greek as like the pinnacle of human achievement ever, as if everything started there, as if Greeks and Romans didn't interact with all the other cultures in the world and get stuff from them and borrow stuff, and weren't the beginning of all history and time.
for sure.
And but I think everybody does that. Like every culture does that. That culture just happens to be the latest one that doing it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the great Babylonian civil societies and Egyptian societies, whatever, I'm sure they, were the pinnacle of modernity and civilization,
Yeah, rewriting the history books. The victors write the history for sure. Like, I think my parents are disappointed that I don't learn more of the Asian side of history, even the Chinese side of history, because that's like when I went to Vietnam one time, there was like a museum, and in the museum, it was very different than American museums of the Vietnam War. In the Vietnamese museums, it's like, oh, fuck yeah, we won. This is the museum of our victory against the American aggressors. This is the museum of our victory against the French aggressors. This is the museum of our victory against the Chinese aggressors. And they're just like, oh, and we beat all these Western powers, and we're awesome. And the Vietnam War was like an immense triumph. And none of the...
It's interesting to see that.
Yeah.
I always think that, though. Like, how does this other country perceive this event? It can't be the same, Like, how do they teach the American Revolution in UK school?
Oh, yeah. Maybe they skipped that part. They don't want to...
I mean,
yeah.
It's like one of the great... That's like being the person who didn't sign Eminem or something, like... Or the guy who didn't take the lead role in, The Matrix and turned it down, or something like that.
Oh, was there a guy like that?
Like,
yeah,
they dropped the ball. Like,
yeah.
America turned out to be like the biggest, strongest country on the planet. They lost it. So maybe they don't talk about it so fondly in their books.
Yeah, but to their credit, I think they knew it was valuable. I think they they really tried to hang on.
Yeah, they do. They knew.
They weren't like Eminem, that guy. So
what did you say?
Oh, the British were not like the U.S. Like, what a backwaters. Who who cares about them? Like the guy who passed on Eminem.
Right. They're like, oh, some white guy from Detroit. Like, okay. Now, let me push this. Git push origin. Yes. I don't have permission.
I will change that. That is totally... I may not understand anything else about GitHub OAuth, but I know how to do this. Are you called Amari Codes on GitHub?
Yeah.
Oh, I found you. So you will need to like click on either the inbox icon in GitHub or answer your email and accept the invite.
All right. Let's see where's my GitHub? Code search. All right, I got it. Accept documentation. Okay, now I have access. Try this again. Uh-oh. Damn it.
Oh, so here's where you have to. Now it's not even
I
letting
should
you.
have pulled. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You if you go back to your settings, email, and you copy and paste. I had to do this a lot recently, so I know how to fix this problem. And
Okay.
yeah, so
go to my settings.
yeah, settings, email, and then copy that in emails on the left. You passed it on the left sidebar, emails. And then scroll down, and then too far. So then where it says 1636, it's like buried in the paragraph.
Oh.
It's not by itself with a clipboard icon the way would be useful to humans. But so copy that, and then yeah, this one command you can set from the command line. I'll paste it again in the chat. It's a git config -- global user.email, and then paste that email address. But you need to do it in the same terminal that you're going to commit and push from.
So let me think. Is this gonna mess up my?
All your future,
how's this gonna affect?
Yeah, all your future commits will be tagged with this email address, and GitHub knows that they're all yours, so you'll still get credit for them, like on the green commit activity graph. And I guess like the only way it would have an effect is if you're collaborating with someone and they see like, oh, all of a sudden these commits from Amari have this new email address, and they'll just check with you. It's like, hey, do you know about this? Did you make this change? And you'll say, yeah, that's still me. Don't worry about it.
Let me see. Oops. Open git.
It's dot git config. Oh, there you go. So you can. Oh yeah, at the very top under user for email. Yeah, you want to get that out of there.
So I can put this one there?
Yes. And it's just a unique identifier. But no mail. That mail is unroutable. No one should send mail there because it's not going to get to you, which is the idea. So spammers can't spam you.
All right, let's try this again.
Oh, one more step, which is you got to commit. You got to amend and reset the last commit because it still has this.
Okay. So what am I doing for that?
It's git commit -- amend -- reset. And I only know this off the top of my head because I've done it so much for this. I'm in front of students. I had this error and I was like trying to debug it in front of them. So git commit -- amend -- reset, and press enter. And hopefully your Git editor is set to code, because I think it might ask you for a message, but go ahead and press enter. Okay, and then this is Vim, so you don't have to change anything. You just press escape Shift:\WQ. And you can also change your Git editor to VS Code, so you don't have to learn Vim if you don't want to.
All right, I'm hitting escape. Nothing's happening.
Escape, and then shift. Yeah, you got it. Okay, now try git push. There you go.
Voila.
It's minor payoff for so much work, but you only have to do it once.
Well, that's good. Now that I got that private. Well, that's good. Some good progress on that, I'd say.
Yeah. Thanks for hitting me up. I was missing it, and I realized I hadn't done it in a while, and so it's like exercise at the gym. I think it takes like exercise. Once you do it, like you're like, oh, I should do this every day.
What do you mean, the coding?
Pair programming, yeah.
Oh, pair program. Yeah. Yeah, it's good, especially like it doesn't have to be like you're involved in some major project or something. It's just the act of getting out of your head and talking with a person while you're doing it. That is I just think that's the ultimate way to work to me.
Yeah, well, there's a growing number of companies that are working that way. I mean, not 100%, but it would be exhausting all the time. But I think like regularly and some of the time. But it also depends on like you getting along with your partner. Like I may not, yeah, if it was someone you didn't know as well, it might not be like as comfortable. So I think there's a lot of social factors that go into whether it'll be a good programming session. Where for a beginner, you're not guaranteed to have this like setup where you get along with the other person and you're interested in the same thing. You're even using the same language, like John, that Ruby on Rails guy you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it just depends on what you're doing too. I mean, sometimes it slows you down. It could slow you down. I mean, if you were doing work for hire, you're on the clock. It may not be the right time to do that. If you could just knock out what you're doing without having to explain what you're doing while you're doing it and all that. But no, it's a good tool, especially for learning.
Yeah. Well, how's the meetup going? Yeah, it seems like people have been really enjoying it, and I've been enjoying it from afar. I've been wanting to start a meetup here too, and yeah, it's not too much. Like every 2 weeks with your work schedule. Now that school's back.
Yeah, it works good. It works. Cause I go down there like 3 o'clock. I'll be down there and just after work and just do my own thing for a few hours till people start getting there. And yeah, I think there's not a lot of meetups right in that area where it's just what it's been like, kind of like just hang out and talk about coding and stuff, which the people that have come seem to really enjoy, because we'll sit there for hours and we're just mostly talking about, what we're working on, what this tech, how it goes. And I think I think the people that come really appreciate that aspect of it,
Well, that's good.
So,
Yeah, I always worry that we don't have like guest speakers. We did a few in the past, and I thought about inviting some again. Like I know a few people, and we have a lot of members, so I think we get like 7 or 8 people show up now, which is like a good turnout. And in the past, if we had a speaker, maybe 30 people would show up, but then we'd want like maybe a proper venue with snacks and a projector, or it could be an online only talk. So I have that in that mind.
yeah,
Like maybe a few times a year we invite a speaker.
I've ruled out the library as a place.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I forget why, but after just researching the process of having a room and the timing of it and the locations that are available, certain, like some of the libraries are nearby have certain restrictions that made it not a practical place to have like as a routine place to meet. But I would like to find somewhere, because we would need a space to do that. If we were going to have a speaker come or somebody present, it'd be we'd need a space, because I want to call it the cathedral, but the congregation is
It is a cathedral.
hit or miss depending on like last time there wasn't enough space for everybody to sit together at that big table, so we just fit as many of us, the 3 of us or 4 of us there, and then a couple other people just hung out somewhere else until someone moved. But that's not ideal. It's like, oh, I came to meet up, but yeah, you go sit over there. We're over here
Oh, so
talking and
sad.
having fun, and you go sit over there in the corner with the kids.
So sad.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's good. I like doing it. It's a good time.
Yeah. Well, there is a makerspace called i3 in Ferndale that I am on the membership path for, but I didn't complete it in time to sort of feel like I could request a meetup. But they have a big space. They have like a projector. They have classrooms with whiteboards, and they have a bunch of tools. Like people do a bunch of stuff like jewelry making and welding and car repair, and so it seems ideal. But since I'm not there to make the connection, I'm trying to convince someone else to do it. Like I met some other guys on the membership path, so I'll try and get them interested in coding as well. They do a lot of more hardware stuff. I would say like not many of them do software, or actually I haven't met anyone who really does software there. They're all about like soldering electronics and painting and other arts and crafts. But that's one possibility. And if you wanted to check it out, like some Friday night, it's 6:30 onwards is their public night, so you can show up and get a tour. And I'm on their Google group. I'll still ask like, hey, is it okay if my buddy Amari wants to come by for a tour, or how do people feel about, can I host? Can I like put you in touch?
Here's a Python meetup on their calendar.
Oh, nice. Okay, so someone does do software there. Okay, I think I'll post on the Google group because I think there are many more members than I haven't met yet, and maybe one of them is already software oriented, where I can, they're an easy sell. I can say like, hey, I have this pretty populous meetup, and we want to teach a class or have a talk. Would you be okay like co-sponsoring this talk? Good. Thanks for finding that. I think they're already open to meetups. The people I talked to already were pretty open to it. I said like, oh, like, could we have like software classes or software talks? And they said like, yeah, we'd love to come to that too.
Are they nonprofit?
They are definitely nonprofit. And they're super organized. They're like probably like in the top 3 most organized maker spaces that I've been to, which can sometimes be like anarchist and like messy, but they have their shit together.
I'll have to check them out. Yeah. Ask them about that, and maybe you'll connect me with somebody there. Because it starts at 1 to 4 on Saturday. Do you do that? Yeah, I'd be down to do something like that in Ferndale.
Nice. Yeah. Well, if you know of anyone that you'd like to hear speak, like I think if you just search on LinkedIn for like Detroit software engineer, I don't know how many people would show up. There's one guy who started this startup called Ingest, which is like log analysis or something, and they're a local Detroit company. And I'm on another Slack with him. I was thinking of asking him if he wanted to speak. The guy who runs the Michigan Python meetup, who's like a Ford engineer or GM engineer. He has his own meetup, so I don't know if he wants to come speak at our meetup, but I might trade him. I might try and give a Python talk and ask him to give a pair programming talk. And yeah, so if you know anyone, or we could ask them, and I think messaging them on LinkedIn I think helps. That's what the Detroit New Tech people do, and having a lot of members also helps because you can like kind of brag about it in the message, be like, hey, like we're one of the largest meetups in Detroit, and we'd love to hear, like we can give them a choice to speak on any topic that's coding related that they want to, and that's the idea.
How many members are there? It was like 1,500 or
1,639, but who's counting?
Okay.
Every time a new person joins, I get excited.
The number to the ones place.
Sometimes I get too excited. I'll be like, oh, someone joined, and then they'll like leave a week later. I'll be like, oh, we let them down. But it's people. It's still. I only know of like 2 or 3 meetups which have more members. So we did begin with a theme, which was like an entry funnel into Ray Batra's code school, which is why it's so beginner friendly. But then, so I think that message appeals to people. But we're no longer feeding into any particular code school. Maybe we should. Maybe Grand Circus is still around, and maybe they'd be interested in partnering with us. But I think we're doing fine. Like so far, we're just like concentrating on having a fun time each time, and we slowly build up. And slow is good to me.
Yeah. 1 is infinitely more than 0.
That's true.
I don't know if that's really true, like a mathematician would agree, but
And those are the only two values, one and 0.
there's definitely infinite space between 0 and 1. That we could say is definitely true.
Yeah.
That's what I tell students when they're like not working at all. Just, 20 questions. I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, just do one. I was like, one is like infinitely more than 0. And it kind of motivates them to say, oh, 1, I can do 1. It's like, oh yeah, just do 1. 0 is a whole special thing.
It's a good tip. I'll tell students who are trouble getting started and myself. So I hope we have another pair programming session again soon. Amari, it was good catching up.
Yeah, let's do that. Yep, I'm flexible. Just hit me up. Let me know.
Okay, I gotta
work on this thing some more.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll let you get on with your day, and I'll see you online.
All right, yeah. Take it easy, Paul. Talk to you later.
See you.